Hi everyone, so in today's video, this is going to be the part 2 of my retinoid guidance video that I did. I'm not really sure if that's the actual title of the video because, fun fact, I'm recording this literally directly after, still in the same clothes, still in the same everything, it's still the same day. But I did put a Q&A up on my Instagram to kind of like ask you guys to ask me a bunch of questions related to retinoids. And then we're going to kind of try to debunk a bunch of myths while also answering your guys' questions at the exact same time. So I got asked a ton of questions. So I'm going to go through as many of these as possible. I don't want this video to be too long, but we're going to see what we can do. So the first question is from Pranita, and it says, is it normal for only some parts of your face to be flaky, or should it be flaky everywhere? Now, that's a great question, and in my guidance video I kind of talked about the primary areas are more areas that are thinner. So I find on the cheekbones are where some people get a lot of dryness, also on the chin as well, the nose, sometimes on the forehead, but it's usually that like thinner area or more bonier area that people get flaky skin. It also doesn't need to be all over the face, and that's something that a lot of people don't realize is when we say you're going to get flaky skin, it's not actually going to be everywhere. Just like the increased breakouts and the retinoid burn, as I called it, it's not going to happen all over your entire face. It's really just in selective areas. Next question is, why can't we use retinoids during pregnancy or if we want to get pregnant? And the main concern with this is that we have evidence that proves oral retinoids do cause birth defects. So just to be safe, because we can't obviously we can't take women who are pregnant, put retinoids on their skin, and then see if it's going to cause a birth defect. It's just not ethical. So that will most likely never ever happen, and I hope it never happens either because, again, not ethical. So instead of kind of chancing it, they just say steer clear of all of them. There has never been, to my knowledge, someone who used a $7 retinol from Sephora that was pregnant. They've never ever shown, to my knowledge, that it caused a birth defect. However, if you are trying to get pregnant / if you are pregnant, just do not use them. If you are using them and you're seeing this video right now, don't panic. You're going to have a safe, very healthy baby. The main concern is oral retinoids, and you have to sign waivers and all that kind of stuff to prove that you're not pregnant before you start them. So don't panic, but just cut them out of your routine. So the next question is from Lauren Wright. I think that's how you say it. It says, which derivative is best for beginners and how long before upping to the next derivative? So as I mentioned in that video, I don't think there's really a best necessarily. The gold standard is still tretinoin, but as far as over the counter or prescription, it's really going to depend on what your concern is. So you didn't mention that, and then also how severe it is. So if we're talking about cystic acne, over the counter products aren't going to do anything. Go see a dermatologist, get on a prescription. It's going to save you a lot more time and a lot more money than trying to get rid of cystic acne with like a little serum that costs $7. So which one would I start with if you're a beginner and you just kind of want to get into retinoids, you don't really have any serious concerns, I would say start with maybe like a retinol serum. And I usually say start with the weakest one just to kind of introduce it to your skin, and then jump up to at the max, which is the maximum by law regulation, is 1%. You want to get to retinol 1% at some point, but I always start off a lot of people at 0.25%. And then they jump up to 1% after that, and they don't really experience any issues with it. So the next question is, does retinol or adapalene lose their effectiveness with light? We should put them on and then sleep. So I don't remember if I mentioned this, which is really bad because I just recorded it like 2 seconds ago, but they are photo unstable, so they're sensitive to light. So adapalene isn't. Adapalene you can use in the daytime or you can use in the nighttime. It is photostable. Whereas retinol, tretinoin, all those ones, they're a little bit they are photo unstable. However, new formulations are out where it's called microencapsulation. So you'll see Retin-A micro, for an example, and that is your tretinoin that is microencapsulated. You can actually use that in the daytime and it doesn't really break down. Whereas Retin-A without the micro, that breaks down faster in the daytime. So for me, to make it easier for everybody, just use it in the nighttime. And then you don't have to worry about that at all. So the next question that I got is from Jedek Davies. I'm just gonna say, if I pronounce your guys' names wrong on here, my bad. So their question is, will adapalene address hyperpigmentation as well as acne, or just acne alone? So adapalene can help with hyperpigmentation. Any retinoid really can. If your main concerns are like deep hyperpigmentation, that's kind of like older as well, like it's been there for many years, I would say go more with tretinoin at the on a prescription, but that's just my opinion. However, adapalene can help as well. Next question is from Sullivan, and it says, where does different fall in the ester, the all acid list? So I'm assuming what they mean is it a ester, is it retinol, is it retinol, is it an retinoic acid? Different is adapalene. So it's a synthetic and it doesn't really fall into any of those categories because it doesn't convert into anything. It starts working instantly. It doesn't need to convert into retinoic acid like retinol palmitate, retinol, retinaldehyde, that kind of stuff. That all needs to convert into retinoic acid. Different, adapalene. It just works instantly. So the next question is I am Wickwam. So it says, can we use adapalene all over the face because the pharmacist girl says it's a spot treatment? Follow your doctor's instructions that prescribed it to you. Honestly, I've never heard someone say use adapalene as a spot treatment. So I would say use it all over. And then if you have any questions, talk to your doctor. Whoever prescribed it to you, talk to them. So the next one comes from Florence Margot, and it says, can it help with aging? So yes, it can. Adapalene is a little bit confusing. There's not as much research behind the 0.1% that's in like different, for an example. New research shows that at 0.3%, it can have some anti-aging benefits, but your gold standard for anything that you want to target fine lines and wrinkles is more tretinoin. So long-winded answer, short answer is yes. And that same person also asked at what age to use retinoid. So I always say if you were 25 years old or if you're in your late 20s, early 30s, you definitely want to be using a retinoid already, but there is no real set time. I usually say people before the age of 20, generally, they have pretty decent skin. If you have any concerns like acne, you probably will be already on a retinoid. But if you have like great skin and you have no concerns, you don't necessarily need one, but you also don't have to not use one. If you want to use one, go right ahead. So the next one is from Amelie Mahesh. It says difference between gram-active retinoid and retinol, which is more effective. So gram-active retinoid, which I covered in my previous video, is hydroxypinocolone retinoate. That's the long name for it. And the difference between the two is hydroxypinocolone retinoate, or I'll just say HPR, is a retinoic acid ester. And retinol is one of the vitamin A derivatives, and it needs to convert into retinoic acid. So it's a little bit confusing. I don't say either one of them are better, but because HPR is a retinoic acid ester, I would say you could use that one and you'll probably see faster results. I'll say that. The next question, I'm just going to avoid the names at this point because some of them are a little bit harder to say. So does switching from 0.1% adapalene to 0.025% tretinoin cause purging? Now, if you watch that video, you know I don't like that word, purging. Does it increase breakouts? Possibly. Adapalene hits, I think it binds to one retinoic acid receptor in your skin, whereas tretinoin binds to all of them. So that's why tretinoin is a lot more irritating than adapalene is. So could you experience more increased breakouts temporarily again? Good possibility. There's no way to tell, but if you're going to be switching to tretinoin, don't worry about the increased breakouts. Just switch and start using it. Also, I want to add lights, like all these lights around me right now, is not going to break down your tretinoid, your retinol, whatever. It isn't going to break down your retinoids. It's not as intense as the sun. The main concern is the sun with that intensity. Your lights are not that intense, so you're fine. Also, your phone isn't going to cause any issues either. So next question is, can I do laser hair removal while I'm taking isotretinoin? This is something that you need to talk to your dermatologist about. For me, we have a strict, you do not get any laser treatments done. There's also a time frame where you're not allowed to get any laser treatments done if you're taking isotretinoin, and then also for a certain amount of time after you've finished isotretinoin. So no, to answer your question. So the next question is, how do I know if I should start using a retinoid? Very simple. If you're interested in using one and you like the benefits that it can target, start using it. Even if you don't have any of those like fine lines, hyperpigmentation, acne, etc., even if you don't, you can still use it. It kind of just keeps your skin looking as youthful, as people like to say, for as long as possible. So next question is, do we have to work up to every night? What if my skin just can't handle it? That's a really good question. And as much as I always say, like, work up to every other day, you don't have to. If your skin can't handle using it every other day and it only allows you to use it 2-3 times a day, then use it 2-3 times a day. There's usually something that's causing you to not be able to use it for that much of a frequency, whether that's a skin condition, a medical skin condition that you have that just gets inflamed way too much when you use it, or you're partnering it with something in your routine that it does not agree with, such as an exfoliant. Try to look at your routine and try to see what's going on. Maybe go seek professional advice from an esthetician or maybe a dermatologist to kind of like go over what you're currently doing, because there's probably something that's stopping you from being able to do that. Again, though, you don't have to use it every other day or even every day. Someone asked, for a beginner with sensitive skin, do non-prescription retinoids actually work? Yes. They do work. So retinol, retinaldehyde, HPR, all those can help treat whatever your concerns are. But when you have something like cystic acne, like I said in my other video, cystic acne is not something that a cosmetic product is going to really help transform your skin. There's only so much that a cosmetic is legally able to do, and then it's more a drug. So things like adapalene, which is prescription in almost everywhere except for the USA. So Differin is adapalene, tretinoin, isotretinoin, which people know as Accutane or Roaccutane. Those things are going to transform your skin because they're drugs, and that's what their job is to do. So if you are experiencing like severe skin concerns, you probably won't see much from a cosmetic product, but if they're pretty minor to maybe moderate, over-the-counter products that you get in like a cosmetic shop near you will probably help. Next question is, how to apply tretinoin correctly? And all I'm gonna say is go watch the video that I already posted. Link in the description below. It's a very lengthy video, but that will give you all the information on how to use any retinoid, including tretinoin. So someone asked me about the sandwich method, and I'm assuming they just want my opinion on it. So the sandwich method is actually something that I learned from you guys. I've never heard this for the longest time. And then sometime last year, someone mentioned it and I had to go look it all up. So the sandwich method is moisturizer, your retinoid, moisturizer. And what this does is basically just buffer everything. So not everything, but it does buffer a lot. So it's more easily tolerable. So if you're somebody who's very concerned about the irritation, sandwich technique is for you. For me, I find just applying the retinoid and putting on a moisturizer pretty much right after, that kind of like buffers it enough for my skin. I've never done the sandwich technique or sandwich method. I just didn't find it was necessary for my skin. However, if you are very concerned, that could be the method for you. So the next thing is suggest beginner retinoid serums and creams. If you want to see my favorites, I tell you why I like them, and if it's something that kind of like you see the reason why I like them are based off of concerns or skin types, whatever that you have, you can do that. I'll link it down below. It's my blog post for Holy Grail retinoids. So again, view that. That will be my suggestions, I guess you could say, for them. Question is, how long does it take to see results for anti-aging? So targeting fine lines and wrinkles. It takes a while, and it depends on how severe these fine lines and how deep these fine lines and wrinkles are. So if you're somebody who has very minor ones, you may see it in like, I don't know, 3 months, let's say. I usually say retinoids take about 3 to 6 months to see like a good improvement. 6 months, you should see a pretty good improvement for any concern, but it also is going to depend on the severity. So if it's very severe acne or very severe fine, like deep fine lines or deep wrinkles, it's going to take probably a little bit longer than that. So just be patient, and eventually you'll see your results that you're looking for. Also, take before and after pictures. So start with a before and every month take an after photo, and you'll start to see those slow improvements with your skin. My next question is, what is my Holy Grail retinoid product? And I primarily only use prescriptions. So I have different, which is adapalene 0.1%. I have TAC2 pump, which is adapalene 0.3% with 2.5% benzoyl peroxide. I have Stevia A, which is a 0.5% tretinoin. It's the generic version of Retin A. I have Retin A microgel, 0.1%. And then I also have Biacna, which is clindamycin, 1.2% with tretinoin, 0.025%. So I like all of these. Hope that was helpful. The very last question that I got was makeup recommendations while on tretinoin. So as I mentioned, all retinoids kind of make your skin a little bit more drier and flakier in the beginning. Typically this does go away, but always can come back eventually one time in the future, a couple times in the future. So my recommendations are always anything that's not mattifying. So no mattifying primers, no mattifying foundations, no mattifying concealers, no mattifying powders. Also layering powder upon powder, the whole baking, all that stuff. You got your bronzers, blush, highlight, like all these powder products are just going to enhance that flakiness on your skin, and your skin will look like the Sahara Desert. It will be very tight looking. It will look very dull and dead. I would recommend going for the exact opposite and something that's more hydrating. So hydrating primers, hydrating foundations. Obviously people need to set their powder or their foundations with a powder. So something that's very light, no baking, just a light dusting on the face. And if you find yourself getting more oilier throughout the day, do a little bit of like a blotting paper or just a little bit of powder. Again, don't layer on a ton of stuff, and don't layer on a ton of mattifying makeup. That's all for today's video. I hope you guys all enjoyed. I answered quite a few questions and also debunked quite a few myths. So if you guys want to see a part 2 of this, or I guess a part 3 of this, but a part 2 of the Q&A about retinoids, let me know down below. If you also have any questions about skincare related things, let me know down below, and I will get back to you guys. I always do. Give the video a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.